Hey, what's up guys? This is Church of Caboose and welcome back to my corner of the internet. In this video, I'm going to give you guys another Grandmaster guide for this week's Grandmaster Nightfall. It is the Proving Ground. So far, in my opinion, this is the hardest one we have had this season, and hopefully this video will at least get you guys going in the right direction. We're going to start off with things like fire team makeouts, weapon loadouts, and also just kind of give you guys some expectations. So expect to need to grind this out for a little while. Like, it's not going to probably be something that you can hop on LFG with and do the first try, although it's possible. This might be something where you need to get some practice in, so it could be worth trying to go through doing things like the master levels before going at Grandmaster, but it's a lot harder on Grandmaster than Master, so that's totally up to you. That's just what my team did before we went at the Grandmaster. So to kick this video off, you guys should subscribe to my channel because you want to get all the content like this. If this kind of stuff works for me with LFG and clanmates that aren't necessarily super duper PvE sweats like Rick Cactus claims he is, then this stuff should help you guys out. So make sure you all subscribe, as well as let me know down below if you found this to be useful and if this is why you completed your Grandmaster. I just love hearing that from folks. So let me know, and also like the video. Alright, so for fire team loadouts and makeup, let's go ahead and kick off with what you're going to want to have. As always, we're going to kick this video off with things like loadouts and fire team composition. It seems horribly crucial to have two Furiosa Titans. It's just what I'm seeing everyone find to be useful on the internet, and it's what's worked really well for me. Now, the main common strat I have seen is two Furiosa Titans with one Chaos Reach Warlock. However, my clears, we had two Furiosa Titans and a Titan in a bubble, or two Furiosa Titans and a Hunter doing Tether. Now, I would also think a Warlock on Well would be rather useful, but here is why it's really important to have the two Titans. I know in the past we've had lots of incoming damage in these past couple of weeks of Grandmasters, but somehow it got way worse. We have a room where there's two tanks plus anti-barrier champions, and then you've got all those legionaries chucking grenades at you, and it gets wild. And so having those Furiosas is key, because you can't shoot through a bubble. You will get killed inside of a well. So having those Furiosas, those banner shields, is super duper clutch. Like, you probably can't do it unless you've got at least one Furiosa Titan. Now, I'm sure there's someone out there who did it, but as far as the general population goes, I would not even worry about trying unless you have at least one Furiosa Titan, if not two. The reason you have two is because the way the Furiosas work when you get your super energy back is those two Titans, one of them will almost always have a super when they're in areas with lots of incoming damage, such as the tank room. So it's really easy to have constant super spamming, which gives you more options. You're able to expose yourself more, to take out more ads and more big old champions that are giving you the most damage in those tanks. And so it's just really important, in my opinion, to have two Furiosa Titans, and then whatever your other character is probably is more up to you guys. Now, for weapons, it gets a little bit interesting because we actually need to start thinking about mods and coordinating some stuff together. So one of the things I want you guys to consider is using the Sundering Glare mod. This mod is very interesting, and it's not really been used at all by me, or it's in my experience in general, until this Grandmaster. The Sundering Glare has a very interesting perk. What it does is it makes it where rapid precision hits against distant combatants weaken them for a short duration. So you're able to kind of have almost a Genesis effect, like that perk where if you break the same shield type, it's weakened to kinetic damage. It's a similar kind of an effect, but as a mod. And since Grandmasters, you do lots of things as far away as you possibly can, this works out really well. And those tanks, they have big old crit spots, and so it just makes it a lot easier to take out those tanks even faster, especially if we're going to use something like Anarchy or rocket launchers where they can't normally do crit damage. At least they're now weakened by your Sundering Glare mod, so they'll do more damage, and it just makes the tank part go by faster. Now, for other mods, you want to probably put on things like Concussive Dampener, and better already. Concussive Dampener reduces incoming damage from splash damage, and most of the ads and bosses in this strike do splash damage. There's not a ton of snipers, although there are some snipers, so if I had to pick between one or the other, you would want to do Concussive Dampener and not the one that reduces incoming sniper fire. So Concussive Dampener is the way to go. Better already, or its equivalent on solar armor pieces, is the mod where when you pick up an orb, you immediately begin to regen health. That's also super nifty because our exotics and our weapons probably aren't going to allow us to get much back for health, at least if you take the advice that I'm going to give you guys. Now, for other mods, you want to have some reserves, probably for your sniper rifle. You might want to also consider putting on a special finisher. Now, it does use up a good chunk of your super, but if you're two Furiosas and you got a hunter with Orpheus rigs, you're going to probably get a fair bit of that super energy really quickly anyway, so it might not be that big of a deal. It's just worth your consideration. For weapons, this gets a little bit interesting. A clan member suggested this, and then I got really desperate, and Rick Cactus happened to be the only person at the time that I saw that looked like to even be close to a decent guide. The Skyburners is a very useful exotic to have because we're going to be using a cheese in my guide. It's the only way I found to consistently get this thing done, and I try to provide content for you guys where it gives you the best shots at doing something without wanting to bang yourself into a wall, and using the cheese is the best way to go at the end, and you have to have a Skyburners in order to make that cheese work. Also, Skyburners will shoot through shields of legionaries or anything else where they put up a shield, including that big red dome thing that the boss at the very beginning when you're entering the strike and the actual boss at the end puts up where you have to destroy that core on the inside. So you're able to actually destroy the core without entering the danger of being inside of that shield. Just make sure you do not have anti-barrier scout rifle on. If you do, the Skyburners won't work. I'm not sure if that's on purpose, but it is what it is. So if you are the one running Skyburners, you cannot have on anti-barrier scout rifle. So instead, you would want to have on probably anti-barrier sniper rifle. Now here's going to be kind of our team's generic loadout because I did it with a couple of different teams and it seems to work pretty well so far. I was running the Skyburner's Oath. It is an energy scout rifle. It's from the Red War of the very beginning of Destiny 2. Then I had on the Succession sniper rifle like I normally do, and this time I put on a Code Duelo. It's the rocket launcher from this season. I happen to have one with chain reaction and amplitude reactor, whatever, like the two combination where it's like some god roll kind of a thing. It's a pretty good rocket launcher. It's let's see here. So that's what I had on with my with my character. Was I had a Code Duelo with Impulse Amplifier and Chain Reaction, Skyburner's Oath, and the Succession Sniper Rifle. My other teammates had on things like Anarchy. They did a Void hand cannon for Unstoppable. One did a Solar hand cannon from Unstoppable, and they also had on sniper rifles. One team we had a Izzy for our sniper rifle, and that worked really well because it takes out a lot of the champion's health and makes them start to do their stunning reaction rather quickly. And that was more or less our generic loadout. Everyone had something that they felt like could do lots of damage. We made sure one person had Skyburners, and then we had loadouts for things with Unstoppable hand cannons. You could do pulse rifles as well as anti-barrier sniper rifles. So that's going to do it for our fire team makeup as well as the loadouts. We're going to go ahead and just explain each encounter, and this might be a little bit like this is a really tough encounter, and I want you guys going in with half the information, so I do the best to provide you with all I think you should know on each area. This beginning part really isn't too bad. As you can see, you can hop on a Sparrow, go all the way up to the left, and go up on that backside of the hill. That allows you to kind of skip some of the time and ads and just kind of focus on what you actually need to kill. Know that there's going to be some Scorpion turrets around, so just look out for those. Take those out as fast as you can. Eventually, you'll just memorize where they're at, and they'll just be gone. For everybody else, you want to take out your Cabal and the champions as you go. Just make sure you do your best to not die. There's not tons of revives inside of this whole this Grandmasters because there's not as many champions as I would have assumed there would be, and you need a lot of them, or probably will be, especially because of the tank room, and probably some for the end with cheesing if you're able to get that far. So just kind of pay attention. You want to go nice and slow, kill everything as you can. Eventually the main boss dude will spawn out just like in the story, and you just same deal. You give him half health. There's going to be an Unstoppable, maybe an anti-barrier. Kill those champions. He puts up a dome. Use that Skyburners to destroy the core, and then finish off whatever is left. Just take your time, use the advantage with the range and that hill on the left side. As you see where we are at, you're able to use lots of those rock precipices and drop down behind hills for even farther to the left to avoid lots of the damage, because there's going to be those Colossus spamming those like stun slowing missiles that can also kill you in one barrage. So this left side is pretty dang nifty. Now the first really big area that's going to probably take quite a bit of coordination and time is going to be the tank room. This opening part's not that bad. The rest of the raid will definitely take a good chunk of coordination, communication, and using your supers. So let's go ahead and show you guys this tank room. This room is incredibly difficult. I remember doing this around the first day on Tuesday, March 30th, and it seemed impossible the first couple of times. My teammates are, oh my gosh, this seems damn near impossible. How in the world are we supposed to do this? And now, as we discover strategies and the community kind of figures some things out, this is actually really not as bad. But if you don't know what to expect or use proper coordination, communication, and supers, you will have a very difficult time getting past this. I just want you guys to know this is a tough room. Don't feel bad if it is to you. I'm sure someone's going to be like, oh, this Grandmaster is easy. But hey, like, this is not an easy strike, and this is not an easy room. So what you guys are probably noticing, what we are doing is we are taking advantage of being up and above in this protected area by killing the stuff we can without dropping down into danger. We're able to get rid of some of the ads, and we're trying to get rid of those interceptors. The interceptors are really, really weird. They're like completely covered in a void shield, but somehow even like entire magazines of a void sniper rifle doesn't seem to quite break the shield. I saw something on Reddit where if you try and do like a headshot like right above the scion, that maybe works a little bit better. But the point is you're gonna have to use lots and lots of void on these interceptors, and they will one hit you if they get a direct hit. That's why we're trying to take them out before we go down into that whole actual room. And there's at least 3 of them. There's one on the left, one on the right, and one that floats around in the back. There might sometimes be a 4th, but I don't know if that's me losing track or if they actually spawn in a 4th one, so it is what it is. There's also those explodey gas tank types of things that are around, so if I was you guys, I would look down that hole, try and spot one of those little explodey gas tank things, blow it up before you drop down there, because all that incoming splash damage, you might injure yourself by accident just because you're next to one of those tanks. So if you just blow up a little bit early, might help you guys out quite a bit. Otherwise, you're going to mostly want to hang out on the left and right sides of this whole area as a group. Now, this group I was running with when I got some footage was rather confident. We were pretty set in our ways. We're like, yeah, this is going to be great. And we didn't quite stick purely to the left and right, but after our running, we definitely wish we had. So you're going to notice on the left and right side, you got these giant flap door things. And if you watch my streams, which by the way, that's why you guys should hit the bell, you would notice we were really, really hugging to those. And we're going to see more of that in the gameplay. If I adjust the video as I'm talking, or I just take long enough from this room, you guys will see it. But there's only 2 giant pillar, like wall barrier things, one on the left and one on the right. You want to hide behind those for most of this encounter. And I consider people to look at this room in halves. You got a left half and a right half. And then you consider the big tanks that will eventually spawn as take out the one right in front of you, because then eventually the other tank will come all the way over to your side, so you don't necessarily have to go completely over to the other side to get rid of the tank, but you can if you want, and that's optional. In this room, you're going to want to pretty much hang out in this entire back area. If you go too close, you can see there's tons of ads, and even the red bars will kill you in like 2 or 3 hits, and so it's not very smart to go up. Here on screen, you can see there by a little left, big little wing thing, and you can see the banner shield being used to take a lot of incoming damage, and it's going to be more obvious once these tanks spawn in. So anytime you got all these ads, you want to put up that shield, and then there's some mechanics in this room, just like the arms dealer, where once you kill something, you will start the next slew of mechanics. So to start this whole thing off, once you kill all of these ads, you kind of see on screen, we got a couple of ads that have like that little indicator over their heads. Those are ads you need to kill in order to actually move into the next phase of this room, which is going to involve those tanks. You have to kill all the interceptors, as well as a couple of yellow bar dudes. Some of them even have their own names. Once those are all destroyed, then these big tanks are going to come in. It's also worth noting, when you first pop into here, there's going to be snipers on the left and right side. When tanks spawn, there's going to be snipers on the left and right side. Getting rid of those snipers is going to be pretty useful because it allows you to have a little bit more room to move. So now that we kind of covered this generic part right here, I want to go ahead and cut off the gameplay. We're going to get on into how this all works when we got the tanks, because you guys probably want to actually see that. So once those tanks spawn, you're going to want to have to pop that banner shield immediately and try and take out that tank. You can see there it's already almost dead. Like it was like about half dead. really, really quickly, and that is mostly because of Sundering Glare. And you can see already in about 5-10 seconds that tank was basically killed. Now we end up on this particular run taking a little bit longer than we should have to kill the tank, but you're also going to have champions that are kind of rushing you if you're on this left side, and I found the same thing happened on the right. So you want to make sure you watch out for those legionaries that are coming up on you, just like you saw there on the screen, but that's going to be how you want to more or less deal with the tanks. As the faster you kill the tanks, the better off you are. If you leave up a tank for a long time, they are what spawns in more adds. So every now and then, like, they'll spawn in more legionaries, but if you kill off the tanks right off the bat, they don't call in any more adds, and what you got is what you got, and it's not as bad. So that's part of why Sundering Glare is super duper useful. And you're seeing on screen why Banner Shield is crazy useful, and it allows you to get reses and all that good stuff. And so this is the tank room. There's a tank on the left and a tank on the right. Depending upon what your preference, you can start on the left half or the right half, but that is up to you. Once you have killed both the tanks, kill all the adds, kill all the champions, and hopefully you can go on to the next area with anywhere between 5 to 10 reses, because that would just be easier when you get to the cheese part at the end. So now we're going to go ahead and just kind of cover the next main kind of fight area, which has to do with the section involving depositing the cores, so that way you can get to the actual boss. This part really has two halves to it, and they're basically the same thing. On screen is more from the second half. What's going to happen is you're going to get to this area, and you're going to first have a door open with a ton of adds in your face. Probably use a banner shield, kill the adds in the unstoppable, and just kind of work your way around. Every time you get into this room that you see we're currently in on screen, when you have a core to deposit, there will be an anti-barrier champion on the same side as the core. So for the first core, that champion's on the right side, because that's where you deposit the core. The second core, the champion's on the left side of this main room that we are in. Then you got kind of these wing things. Here in front of me is the second wing, but both are more or less handled the exact same way. Kill the adds the best you can. Be aware that there's scorpion turrets around. Kind of look for them. Don't just assume the coast is clear and run out there. Just kind of look, check all the angles, and move as a group. Because worst case scenario, if one of you gets slapped, at least the other two can take out whatever it is, and then get your revive there later. Now that's basically the gist of this room. Every time you have to deposit a core, you have a champion. Now, just like last week in the arms dealer strike, you do not have to hang on to the core. In fact, they are time limited. You can only hang on to it for about 30 seconds before it goes away. So just pick up a core when you guys have that whole area cleared out, and then drop it and deal with the adds that have now spawned inside of that main room. You just kind of go towards that door, pop a banner shield, and wait and see what happens. Now, there's going to be a couple of those gladiators that got those big old cleaving sword things. If you are right up by the person using the banner shield, and the gladiator will swing and go through the banner shield a little bit, and it can kill you. Not the person with the super, but somebody else. So you kind of want to hang back just a little bit, so that way they get kind of confused and stunned by that banner shield, and they don't catch you by the finish of their swing, and then just finish them off as you guys are seeing on screen. Once you have kind of cleared out all those waves of adds, you're like, all right, everyone's down, you can kill out the champions, all that good stuff, and then go back, grab the core, and then deposit the core without having to worry about anything else spawning. Now, on this particular part, once you deposit this core, there's going to be a door opening so you can go to the actual boss fight, and there's going to be an unstoppable champion, anti-barrier, as well as other legionaries, shielded enemies, war beasts, etc., etc. And so what you want to make sure you guys do is deposit the core. Maybe wait to approach the door unless someone's got a banner shield, if they don't happen to have one for some bizarre reason. Then they would approach the door, you pop your banner shield, take care of the ads, cycle around supers just like you've been doing the entirety of this Nightfall so far, and then kill everything and you get to go on to the boss fight. Now, brace yourselves for the boss fight. We are going to be using a cheese. Just like Ribbon had a cheese and there's so many other PvE cheeses, this is probably going to be really, really important for most players to try and use. You can do the room legit without having to deal with all the adds and or leaving the main battle space. However, it's incredibly hectic. Champions, unstoppable spawn all around you, and it just seems to be the most consistent way to beating this Grandmaster is to use this cheese. Now you're going to involve some jumping, so if you're on a Titan, make sure you guys have already put on something like catapult jump. You can do it with strafe jump. It's just a little bit more annoying if you don't have on catapult jump. So if you're a hunter, hopefully you have on double jump, and warlocks, then whatever the best one is for jumping around. I believe it's momentum, but you guys tell me. I don't do a whole lot with warlock jumping things, and so just let me know down below. Now, kind of giving you guys a heads up, let's go ahead and show you all how to do this cheese thing. It's really simple, just involves a little bit of jumping so we can get kind of off the map. Alright, here we go. So this is approaching our boss room area, and I just want to kind of show from here so you guys can see exactly where we jump and how I do it. So we're just going to kind of follow along here on screen, and I just think this whole area is kind of cool with all the dead cabal and stuff, but it is what it is. Alright, so what you want to do is see this little thing, you jump on top of it, look up, we're going to jump on that little like beer opener almost kind of thing, and then jump to the gold ball deal off on the left, turn around towards your right, and jump up onto the series of platforms. Now, up here is where you can fall off. You kind of see how we've got these more shinier, steel platey looking platforms and like areas in between them that are all black. You can fall off of these. If you go too far backwards, you will drop off and it can be off map, and you'll have to kind of spawn yourself in or join with allies, or maybe happen to get lucky and jump back up. And same thing if you go kind of in between. So the best way to go about using this cheese is once you get two people up there and you have your most confident jumper, perhaps an invis hunter, be the third one that actually gets up there, because you need someone down below to start the encounter and make their way on up. So it's usually going to probably be easier if they can be invisible and they can then go invis and hop on up here. Throughout the duration of this fight, this is why you have to use a skyburners. If you're going to do the cheese, this fight is why you have to use skyburners, because you have phases where the boss puts up that orange shield. Since you're up here, if you jump down below, you're going to most likely die because of all the ads and everything, but you also have a really hard time, if not impossible time, trying to get back up. And since skyburners, to our knowledge, is the only thing that shoots through those shields, that's why you have to use skyburners so you can actually stay up there. You might be thinking, but Church, we're going to run out of ammo, and you're absolutely right. But a weird little thing that I guess either it's because of the spot or that Bungie does, once you're completely out of ammo for something like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, Bungie gives you more ammo. I even got rocket launcher ammo when I was up here. I ended up having to do this part by myself, and like that, just so I don't worry too much about the ammo. Just worst case scenario, you just have to kind of chill, sit, and wait. Now you want to make sure you have a decent chunk of revives when you get up here. I would say ideally you have between 5 and 10, because those core, the little meatball thingies that the boss shoots at you can one-hit you. You might fall off of the edge and kill yourself. You might just accidentally blow yourself up in the face with a rocket. You never know. It's kind of tight quarters, and so you just want to have some wiggle room so that way you can beat this thing. Because once you're up here, you're probably about 30, maybe 40 minutes into the strike, and you'd hate to have a wipe from something a little bit silly, so having more revives is better. Then all you do is just tick away at the boss, kill champions as best as you can, because if you want platinum, you still want to kill those unstoppable champions. There's going to be a total of 4 in there, and then eventually you'll kill the boss, and the Grandmaster is over. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope this guide helped you all out. Feel free to let me know, subscribe to the channel because it's the right thing to do, as well as comment down below and like the video. I want to know what you guys think of this Grandmaster. I'm seeing lots of folks trying to be like, this is easy, and I can't help but wonder if they're lying or if they're just insanely good. And then we got a lot of other folks like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest thing of all time. And you know what, once you kind of get some practice into it and stuff, it's not as bad as it seems at first. When I first started this, I definitely felt like, oh my gosh, this is probably the hardest Grandmaster they've had. But once you kind of get some practice in, it ends up kind of getting easier with time, and it's not as big of a deal as it was the first couple of times. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.